Viewers, the inevitable has happened. Veteran Congress leader, 3 times Assam Chief Minister, Mr. Tarun Gogoi is no more. He breathed his last at the intensive care unit of the Guwahati Medical College Hospital at 5:34 this evening. The news was broken to anxious people in Assam and elsewhere by Assam Health Minister Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma. A short while ago, Himanta Biswa Sharma broke this sad news that veteran Congress leader Mr. Tarun Gogoi is no more. He was 86 years old, the 3-time Assam Chief Minister, a colossal figure in the Northeast political firmament. He was a colossal political figure, not just in Assam, but the entire northeastern region. In fact, Himanta Biswa Sharma said all efforts were made to bring the veteran leader back to life, but Tarun Gogoi finally succumbed. Let's listen in to what Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma said while breaking the news of Tarun Gogoi's death a short while ago.
চিকিৎসা মহাবিদ্যালয়ৰ অধ্যক্ষই আনুষ্ঠানিকভাৱে তেখেতৰ ইহলীলা সম্বলম কৰাৰ কথা ঘোষণা কৰিছে 5:34 বজাত।
স্যার ইতিমধ্যে কেনে ধৰণৰ ব্যৱস্থা
5:34
স্যার এতিয়া যেটো অতি দুখজনক খবৰ ৰাজ্যবাসীৰ বাবে এই মুহূৰ্তত স্যাৰ ইয়াৰ পিছত পৰৱৰ্তী কাৰ্যসূচী কেনেদৰে আগবঢ়াই নিব তেখেতৰ নশ্বৰ দেহ
আমি তেখেতৰ নশ্বৰ দেহ কিছু সময় পিছত তেখেতৰ চৰকাৰী বাসভৱনলৈ লৈ যোৱা হ'ব।
তাত কেইদিন ৰাখা হ'ব কলাক্ষেত্ৰত
সেই গোটেই বিষয়ে পৰিয়ালৰ সিদ্ধান্ত হ'ব। পৰিয়ালৰ লগত আলোচনা কৰি এই বিষয়ে আপোনালোকক আমি জনাই থাকিম।
স্যাৰ যদি গুৱাহাটীত অন্ত্যেষ্টিক্ৰিয়া সম্পন্ন কৰা হয় তেতিয়াহ'লে নৱগ্ৰহতে হ'ব নেকি?
বৰ্তমান তেখেতক গুৱাহাটী মেডিকেল কলেজৰ পৰা চৰকাৰী বাসভৱনলৈ নিয়া হ'ব হয় আৰু আজি শেষ নিশা 11-12 বজাত বা অথবা কালি ৰাতিপুৱা তেখেতক শ্ৰীমন্ত শংকৰদেৱ কলাক্ষেত্ৰলৈ লৈ যোৱা হ'ব। ৰাইজে তাতে শ্ৰদ্ধাঞ্জলি জনাব পাৰিব। পৰৱৰ্তী আন যিবিলাক ধৰণৰ আনুষংগিক কথা পৰিয়ালৰ লগত আলোচনা কৰি আন সিদ্ধান্তবিলাক আপোনালোকক জনোৱা হ'ব।
All right, there you heard Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma giving details, saying that the veteran Congress leader, 3 times Assam's Chief Minister, breathed his last at the Guwahati Medical College Hospital at 5:34 this evening. He said that the body would be taken to Mr. Tarun Gogoi's official residence in the Minister's Colony at Dispur, and then tomorrow morning the body will be kept at the Sankardev Kalakshetra in the 6-mile area of Guwahati, in the Panjabari locality of Guwahati, where the people will be able to pay their last respects to the veteran leader. So that and the further formalities regarding his last rites will be taken in consultation with the family members. Let's go and take some reaction. We have seen some people's reaction who had gathered immediately on hearing the news of their beloved leader's demise. We will go back to those visuals in a short while from now. Tarun Gogoi actually was admitted at the ICU of the Guwahati Medical College Hospital at 10:30 p.m. on the 1st of November after he had complained of breathing problems. While his condition was more or less stable initially, things took a turn for the worse on Saturday afternoon, following which he has been put under mechanical ventilation. Gogoi was put under dialysis on Sunday, even as doctors... these are live reactions coming in. Let's listen in.
5:34 আমি তেখেতৰ নশ্বৰ দেহ কিছু সময় পিছত তেখেতৰ চৰকাৰী বাসভৱনলৈ লৈ যোৱা হ'ব। আজি নিশালৈ অথবা কালি ৰাতিপুৱাই পৰিয়ালৰ অনুমতি সাপেক্ষে শ্ৰীমন্ত শংকৰদেৱ কলাক্ষেত্ৰত ৰাইজৰ শেষ শ্ৰদ্ধাঞ্জলি নিবেদনৰ বাবে ৰাইজৰ সুবিধাৰ্থে ৰখা হ'ব আৰু সম্পূৰ্ণ ৰাষ্ট্ৰীয় সন্মানেৰে সৈতে তেখেতক আমাৰ এই পৃথিৱীৰ পৰা বিদায় জনোৱা হ'ব এই ধৰণে আমি আয়োজন কৰিছোঁ পৰিয়ালৰ পৰা যিটো আমি মোৰ যিটো তেখেতৰ সন্তানৰ লগত কথা বতৰা হৈছে তেখেতৰ পত্নী অৰ্থাৎ মাননীয়া শ্ৰীমতী ডলি গগৈ ডাঙৰীয়াৰ স্বাস্থ্যৰ প্ৰতি লক্ষ্য ৰাখি তেখেতৰ শেষ কৃত্য গুৱাহাটীতে কৰাৰ বাবে সিদ্ধান্ত লৈছে অৱশ্যে আনুষ্ঠানিকভাৱে মোক এই বিষয়ে বা চৰকাৰক জনোৱা নাই বৰ্তমান বিষয়টো অনানুষ্ঠানিক পৰ্যায়তে আছে কিন্তু পৰিয়ালে যদি তিতাবৰলৈ নিয়াৰ সিদ্ধান্ত লয় বেলেগ কথা কিন্তু বৰ্তমান আমি শ্ৰীমন্ত শংকৰদেৱ কলাক্ষেত্ৰক তেখেতক শেষ নশ্বৰ দেশটো ৰখা হ'ব আৰু অসমৰ ৰাইজে অহাকালি ৰাতিপুৱাৰ পৰা তাতেই তেখেতক শেষ শ্ৰদ্ধাঞ্জলি জনাব পাৰিব সেই গোটেই বিষয়ে পৰিয়ালৰ সিদ্ধান্তই শেষ সিদ্ধান্ত হ'ব পৰিয়ালৰ লগত আলোচনা কৰি এই বিষয়ে আপোনালোকক আমি জনাই থাকিম বৰ্তমান তেখেতক গুৱাহাটী মেডিকেল কলেজৰ পৰা চৰকাৰী বাসভৱনলৈ নিয়া হ'ব হয় আৰু আজি শেষ নিশা মানে 11-12 বজাত বা অথবা কালি ৰাতিপুৱা তেখেতক শ্ৰীমন্ত শংকৰদেৱ কলাক্ষেত্ৰলৈ লৈ যোৱা হ'ব ৰাইজে তাতে
Okay, we are getting live reactions from Golaghat. Let's take a look at full frame onto those visuals which are coming us live from Golaghat. These are people reacting.
আমি আগবাঢ়িম আৰু আপোনালোকৰ মিডিয়াৰ যোগেদি আমি এটা কথা ক'ব বিচাৰিছোঁ তিতাবৰীয়া কংগ্ৰেছী পৰিয়াল তিতাবৰীয়া কংগ্ৰেছী ৰাইজ শুভাকাংক্ষী ৰাইজ সকলোৱে অন্ত্যেষ্টিক্ৰিয়াটো আমাৰ তিতাবৰত হোৱাটো বিচাৰিছে সেই গতিকে আপোনালোকৰ চেনেলৰ যোগেদি আমি জনাব বিচাৰিছোঁ ইতিমধ্যে আমাৰ তিতাবৰৰ পৰাও আমাৰ বহু শুভাকাংক্ষী কংগ্ৰেছৰ বিষয়ববীয়াসকল ইতিমধ্যে পৰহিৰ আগৰ পৰা আমি সপ্তাহ ধৰি পেলাই গুৱাহাটী GMCHত গৈছে তেখেতৰ খা খবৰ লৈ আছে তেখেতলোকৰ আমি যিখিনি খা খবৰ আমি ইতিমধ্যে পাই আছোঁ সেই গতিকে আমাৰ সকলো এটাই দাবী যে শেহতীয়াকৈ হ'লেও আমাৰ যি অন্ত্যেষ্টিক্ৰিয়া আমাৰ ইয়াতে তিতাবৰতে আমাৰ হ'ব লাগে আৰু তেখেতে যিখিনি কাম কৰি থৈ গ'ল আমি হিচাপ কৰি আজি তাৰিখত উলিয়াব নোৱাৰোঁ এই কথাটো এইটো কাৰণে মই কৈছোঁ তিতাবৰীয়া ৰাইজৰ এইটো কণ্ঠ আপোনালোকে চাওক তিতাবৰ মহকুমা
That there are some reactions from citizens in Titabor, that is Tarun Gogoi's home constituency. He has been representing the Titabor seat in the State Assembly for several years now. They are saying that his last rites should be performed in his Titabor constituency. That is the demand from the people of Titabor. Okay, the big story at this point in time is that veteran Congress leader, 3 times Assam Chief Minister, a colossal figure in Assam and the Northeast political firmament, Tarun Gogoi, breathed his last at 5:34 this evening at the intensive care unit of the Guwahati Medical College and Hospital. Shortly, his body would be taken to his official residence at the Minister's Colony in Dispur. Thereafter, tomorrow morning, his body will be placed at the Sankardev Kalakshetra in the Panjabari area of the city, where the people of Assam would be able to pay their last respects to this departed leader. We have with us on the line Dwijen Sharma. Veteran Congress leader Dwijen Sharma is on the phone line. Mr. Dwijen Sharma, you have worked for a long time with your colleague, Mr. Tarun Gogoi. What is your first reactions?
Yes, I had a very long association with Tarun Gogoi. For a long time, I met him. And I am very sad hearing the news. I was whole morning till 2 o'clock. I was in the hospital, and I came from hospital at 2 o'clock. And now I have heard that he is no more. The Assam and the Congress party has lost a very senior most and a very dynamic leader at this moment. And we are proud of Tarun Gogoi. And I have seen in many occasions how he decided things. During his last ministry, when he was in trouble, I was standing behind him all the time and I supported, helped him, everything. And I feel for a long time, since I know him, for a long time I worked with him, I am very, very sad and I have expressed my grief before the people of Assam, and I believe today Assam has lost a very dynamic, very courageous, and a person whose personality was loved by each and every citizen of Assam. His personality was a something different. Though he was a congressman, he looked to everybody. Even other parties member also got justice from him. I have seen personally. So at this moment, I have nothing to say more. I am very sad. I met him very closely. I worked with him very closely, and I expressed my grief. And I pray God that.
All right.
his
Dvijen Sharma, stay on the line. We have live reaction from veteran AGP leader, Mr. Brindaban Goswami. Let's cut into Brindaban Goswami. Let's see what Brindaban Goswami has to say.
কালৰ সকলো জাতি জনগোষ্ঠীৰ আপোন আপোন ভাৱ থকা সৃষ্টি কৰিব পৰা ৰাজনৈতিক ব্যক্তি আছিল তৰুণ গগৈ।
গম পাইছে ইতিমধ্যে প্ৰাক্তন মুখ্যমন্ত্ৰীগৰাকীয়ে।
All right. Okay, that was Brindaban Goswami. You see, viewers, Tarun Gogoi has seen it all, having dominated the state's political firmament for more than 5 decades, ever since his first Lok Sabha poll victory from Guwahati in 1971. A staunch Nehru Gandhi loyalist, he was handpicked by Mrs. Indira Gandhi and later worked as AICC Joint Secretary attached to Rajiv Gandhi. We are now joined by Congress MLA, Congress leader Amparin Lingdo from Shillong. Miss Amparin Lingdo, you have heard the news. Mr. Tarun Gogoi is no more. He breathed his last at 5:34 this evening after a tough fight against several ailments in his last days. What is your first reactions?
This is a big loss for the people of the Northeast. It is not just a loss for the people of Assam. Tarun Gogoi was a familiar face, and the people of the Northeastern region, particularly those in the Congress, would reach to the AICC through him. See, he was a big link for all of us in all of the issues and agendas that we were fighting for throughout my tenure as an MLA. After winning 4 elections, I got to know him at close quarters. Very humble man of great stature, man of great personality, vast knowledge, helpful. And this loss will be a big void. It has created a big void in especially amidst congressmen and women across the country, especially in the Northeastern region. 84 long years he has had. In fact, he is one of the most senior politicians in the region. And since his becoming the Chief Minister in 2001 to 2016, his popularity is unbelievable that even a small person like me, a mere MLA in the state of Meghalaya, knows about him. His contributions have been immense, and not just to the party. Particularly, I appreciate his stand on battling the insurgency issues of Assam. And he has very craftily and very maturely, dealt with that entire back phase in Assam. And when we were trying to deal with it in our state of Meghalaya, he was the first to give us a lot of valuable suggestions.
Miss Amparin Lingdo, you would obviously agree that Mr. Tarun Gogoi had a pan-Northeast appeal, isn't it? He was not just a leader from Assam, but he was a colossal figure, a towering personality from the entire Northeastern region, raising its voice in different platforms.
Correct. And the most recent move that was made by Tarun Gogoi, which is going to go down in the history of the Northeast, is how he put on a lawyer's robe and walked and stepped into the judiciary and fought personally on the CAA agenda. Very rare will you have such a seasoned politician who would do that, come down, humble himself to that level, and actually fight for the implementation of CAA.
Absolutely, Miss Amparin. Ms. Ampran Lingdo, thank you very much indeed for speaking to Northeast Live in this hour of grief as the state mourns the death of veteran Congress leader, 3 times Assam Chief Minister, Mr. Tarun Gogoi. Okay, we also know that Tarun Gogoi was his wit, humor and bluntness were actually legendary. You know, he was known for his wit. When I wrote his authorized biography in 2010, obviously since it was an authorized biography, I had to discuss the title with him. This is the book. This is the book, Tarun Gogoi, The Inside Story of a Blunt Politician. So when I told him that I have decided to name the subtitle as The Inside Story of a Blunt Politician, are you okay with it? He said, of course I am okay with it because I am blunt. So it was in fact, let's have visuals on the screen. It was in fact his bluntness that endeared him to people. He was actually, his charisma cut across party lines, and that is the reason why we have seen in the last few days political leaders from different political parties took stock of his health. We had Prime Minister Narendra Modi ringing up Gaurav Gogoi, his son, and MP inquiring about his health. We had Defense Minister Rajnath Singh talking to Gaurav Gogoi. We had Rahul Gandhi, former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, and several other leaders across the political spectrum had telephoned and inquired about his health. Okay, we have reactions also coming in. We have lots of reactions coming in. We have also Santanu Bharali, who is the legal advisor of the Chief Minister, Sarbananda Sonowal. If we have him, let's listen in.
তাকে আমি বৰ দুখ পাইছোঁ আসলতে, আৰু আজি দেখিলোঁ যে জাতি ধৰ্ম বৰ্ণ বা দল নিৰ্বিশেষে সকলোৱে ভগৱানৰ ওচৰত প্ৰাৰ্থনা জনাইছিলে যে তেখেত আৰু আমাৰ মাজত থাকক, কিন্তু ভগৱানৰ ইচ্ছা তাততো আৰু আমাৰ মানুহৰ কৰিবলগীয়া একো নাই। তথাপি প্ৰাৰ্থনা জনাইছোঁ তেখেতৰ আত্মাই চিৰশান্তি লাভ কৰক, আৰু পুনৰবাৰ যাতে তেওঁ আমাৰ এই অসমতে জন্মগ্ৰহণ কৰে তাকে ভগৱানৰ ওচৰত প্ৰাৰ্থনা জনাইছোঁ।
Absolutely. And I'm also joined now by senior advocate, well-known commentator and activist, Mr. Kamal Nayan Chaudhary, a very well-known lawyer. Okay, we will go to him in a while. Viewers, the big story at this moment, Mr. Tarun Gogoi is no more. He breathed his last at 5:34 this evening at the intensive care unit of the Guwahati Medical College and Hospital. His news was broken by Assam Health Minister Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma. Well, I'm now joined by well-known advocate, senior advocate, Mr. Kamal Nayan Chaudhary. Mr. Kamal Nayan Chaudhary, your first reactions, Mr. Tarun Gogoi is no more.
See, it's a great loss for the people of this state. And as you rightly say, he was a blunt politician. And his connect with the people is something which needs to be mentioned. And today, on his demise, Assam has lost a huge political figure. And the void which has been left, it will be very difficult to fill up. And I also pray to the Almighty so that the Almighty showers, peace to the departed soul. And I also offer my condolences to the members of the bereaved family. And today I would like to share one thing with you. As a law officer of the state for 8.5 years during his regime, I worked with him very closely. One of his greatest quality was, and I must tell your viewers, he never used to interfere in court matters. Whenever any legal matter was brought to his notice, I, as a chief law officer of the state, had the occasion to interact with him on several occasions. He would never try to overreach the authority of the court. That is a very rare quality a politician of today possesses. Otherwise, everybody has the habit of trying to overreach the authority of the judiciary. Therefore, I rate him very highly, and I once again pray to the Almighty so that he lies in eternal peace. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Kamalnan Chaudhary, what according to you were some of the qualities, due to which Tarun Gogoi was liked by people across the board, across the political spectrum? Your thoughts?
See, first of all, he was accessible to all. And he was not a person with those formalities, Whoever would come in touch with him, he would realize how friendly he is. Let me tell you a few things. He would call me for some legal matters. Then, we end up discussing what? Who was a good politician of the past? Whether Mahendra Mohan Chaudhary was a better politician. He had a great liking for Bimala Prasad Chalia. And he used to discuss with me various things, As I told you, the greatest quality he possessed was, number one, he was accessible to the people. Secondly, he never had the habit of trying to overeat the judicial forum. That is something very unique, I must tell you. And he would always go by the legal advice given. He will never say, why don't you? And he would tell you, what do you think? Should we go for appeal? The moment we say, no, sir, let us wait, let us see, then he will never try to impose his decision. So these are some of the very few, qualities which politicians of today don't possess.
Okay, Miss Rosemary Jubisu will be joining us shortly. My producers will be contacting her as well. She has already. Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just tweeted. Let's see what the Prime Minister has written. Okay, Sri Tarun Gogoi, Prime Minister has written. We'll have his text shortly. We can hold on to that. Mr. Tarun Gogoi was a popular leader and a veteran administrator who had years of political experience in Assam as well as the centre. Anguished by his passing away, my thoughts are with his family and supporters in this hour of sadness. Om Shanti. That is what the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has tweeted. He said Tarun Gogoi ji was a popular leader and a veteran administrator who had years of political experience in Assam as well as the centre. Anguished by his passing away, my thoughts are with his family and supporters in this hour of sadness. Om Shanti. That is what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just tweeted. We are also joined. Rahul Gandhi has also tweeted. We'll look into that in a while. But I am now joined by another veteran Congress leader, Mr. Pawan Singh Ghatwar, former Union Minister, someone who has worked very, very closely with Tarun Gogoi, a veteran leader from Assam, Mr. Pawan Singh Ghatwar. Mr. Pawan Singh Ghatwar, you had spent many, many years working together with Mr. Tarun Gogoi. Your first reactions in this hour of grief?
It is a great loss to me personally and a great loss to whole of the northeastern region. He was a towering personality in the political field of the northeastern region, and he was respected by cutting across all the political parties. He was such a fine gentleman. He was respected by everybody, and I don't think anybody from the northeastern region has served the nation such a long time. And till today, he is the longest serving Chief Minister of Assam. I personally know him for last more than 45 years. And I served under him as the General Secretary in the Pradesh Congress. And 2000, I was the Vice President when he was the President. And we tore all over the Assam to rebuild the Congress party. And with his single-handed effort, we have come to power in 2001. And he was a man loved by everybody, and that was proved when he was under treatment in GMC. All people from all religion, all community, they have prayed for his.
Okay. Mr. Pawan Singh Ghatwar, please be online. Don't go away. We have the live visuals coming in of Chief Minister visiting the Guwahati Medical College Hospital. Chief Minister Mr. Sarbananda Sonowal, who had just landed from Dibrugarh. He was on a flight and landed in Dibrugarh, is accompanied by his media advisor Rishikesh Goswami. They have just landed and visiting the Medical College and Hospital, among the first leaders who will have access, who will be going inside and take a look at. Okay, so that was you have just seen. Yes, Mr. Ghatwar. Yeah, what was he had a pan Northeast appeal, isn't it? He was not just considered a leader from Assam, but he was handpicked by Mrs. Gandhi, isn't it? And he was all along a Mrs. Gandhi loyalist.
Yes, he served as a joint secretary of AICC, handpicked by Mrs. Indira Gandhi, and he served as a AICC General Secretary under Rajiv Gandhi also. And he was not only in the northeastern region, he have worked in many states of India under Rajiv Gandhi leadership. And he was respected for his mild nature and for easy approaching nature. He was loved by everybody in the Congress. Even the opposition party, nobody was harsh to him while criticizing Tarun Gogoi as a chief minister or as a central minister, because he was so much loved and respected by everybody.
Now, you know, you must be remembering his early speeches in Parliament when he first became the MP from Guwahati in 1971. He was represented Jorhat from 1971 to 1985. Later, he represented Koliabor as an MP, apart from being the MLA from Margherita and so on. My question to you, Mr. Pawan Singh Ghatwar, his early speeches in Parliament were so passionate and so forceful that it reminded people of the way the ASU leaders and other student leaders used to speak today. Very passionate, very forceful, very hard-hitting speeches in favor of Assam and Assam's interests.
You see, he was a Congress leader, but his focus was always Assam and northeastern region, and he was very passionate.
Okay, I'll cut you short. Pawan Singh Ghatwar, please hold on. I am now joined by Miss Margaret Elva. Miss Margaret Elva, very veteran Congress leader who worked together with Tarun Gogoi as the General Secretary of the AICC, worked closely with Indira Gandhi, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, and later on with Rajiv Gandhi. Mrs. Margaret Elva, welcome. What is your first reaction? Mr. Tarun Gogoi is no more.
I am grieved, deeply grieved. He was a stalwart, he was a gentleman, he was an astute politician, and it is a great loss not only to me personally and to his family, but to the party and to the whole of the Northeast, because he was one of our tallest leaders in the Northeast. He worked with Rajiv ji. He worked with me as a colleague in the Narasimha Rao government. We have had long association, maybe of about 40 years now. And I greatly respected Tarun. I may say that he was a very close friend, and we considered him part of our family. His contribution to the politics of the Northeast, particularly of Assam, will always be remembered.
Ma'am, both Mr. Tarun Gogoi and yourself, you were young leaders then when you were handpicked by Mrs. Indira Gandhi, and you were made to work attached to Mr. Rajiv Gandhi when he was new to the party.
Yes, yes. I was put in charge of the Northeast by our president at that time, who came from Assam, our
Devakanta Barua.
Devakant Barua. He said, you will be very popular, you must work in the Northeast. So I was put in charge of the Northeastern states from 1976 onwards. And my association has continued over all those years, 40 years. I have been looking after all the states of the Northeast. And Tarun and I worked together in many election campaigns, in the selection of candidates, in everything concerning the Northeast. And to the party, he was a great support, a great advisor to the High Command, and a man respected and loved by everybody who knew him. May his soul rest in peace. My condolences to his family, his wife, his son, who's coming up very well in his place. And I hope that his memory and his contribution will always be with us.
My last question to you, Ms. Margaret Elva, what do you think are the qualities of Tarun Gogoi that endeared him to people, because he was loved by by people cutting across political spectrum?
Exactly. You know, he was a man of few words. He always was accommodative, and he never hurt anybody. He never said anything rude to anyone. He always smiled or laughed and carried on. And I think that he was popular across all political parties and all age groups, the old and the young. And he worked a lot for the people, and he never got involved in any controversies and all those other things that a lot of the politicians in the Northeast got involved in.
Absolutely.
He was a gentleman, as I said, and a God-fearing man who worked for the people and who made his contribution.
Thank you very much, Ms. Margaret Elva, there for joining me live on this hour of grief as Assam and the entire Northeast, apart from, of course, the nation mourns the death of this veteran Congress leader who passed away aged 86 at 5:34 p.m. this evening at the intensive care unit of the Guwahati Medical College Hospital. His entire immediate family are in Guwahati. Okay, these are the visuals of the Guwahati Medical College and Hospital at this point in time as we are talking. And what I was saying was that these are live visuals from the Guwahati Medical College Hospital. There is a lot of activity. There are people coming in to pay their last respects. The Chief Minister, Mr. Sarbananda Sonowal, went in a little while ago. We might get to hear him speak in a short while. The President of India has just tweeted, Ramnath Kovind has tweeted. Let's take a look at what the President, Mr. Kovind, had to say on the demise of, extremely sad to know of the demise of Sri Tarun Gogoi, former Chief Minister of Assam. The country has lost a veteran leader with rich political and administrative experience. His long tenure in office was a period of epochal change in Assam. That's what President Kovind has just tweeted. What I was saying is that the entire Gogoi family has gathered in Guwahati. After all, he was not keeping well for more than 2 months now. He was in the intensive care unit of the Guwahati Medical College since November 1. I am now joined by Dr. Rosemary Zuvitsu, a prominent civil society leader and an academic from Nagaland. She is the advisor to the influential Naga Mothers Association. Dr. Rosemary Zuvitsu, your reactions, Mr. Tarun Gogoi's demise. He is no more with us.
Wasdev, please accept our condolences. We convey our condolences to the people of Assam. We have lost one of the tallest political leaders here in the Northeast. We may not have another Tarun Gogoi for a long, long time. I remember meeting him on many academic conferences, both national and international, especially on peace and conflict issues with the United Kingdom, with the US government. We've had several of these conferences in Guwahati where we have seen a variety of topics that Mr. Tarun Gogoi was able to convey and speak, especially with academicians and intellectuals. We hope and pray that his soul will rest in peace, and we convey our condolences to the bereaved family and to all of you, the people of Assam.
Well,
a sad day indeed for all of us.
Dr. Rosemary, Mr. Tarun Gogoi was well loved all across the northeastern region. He was not just a leader from Assam, he represented the region at various platforms, various fora in the country. He raised his voice for the region.
He has raised his voice for all of us, and I think this is a sad day for the whole region, whether it was on peace, whether it was on the rights of the northeastern people.
Okay.
I think during his
Right. Thank you, Dr. Rosemary Juvisu. We'll go live. Chief Minister Sarbananda Sonowal is speaking there. Let's listen in. Sarbananda Sonowal there, ready to talk to the media. He had just landed from Dibrugarh, where he cancelled all his appointments today in Upper Assam, in Eastern Assam, and has rushed back to Guwahati because Chief Minister Tarun Gogoi was extremely critical since morning today in total life support before he succumbed at 5:34 this evening. Let's listen in to what Sarbananda Sonowal is saying.
আমাৰ সকলোৰে অতি শ্ৰদ্ধাৰ ৰাজ্যৰ প্ৰাক্তন মুখ্যমন্ত্ৰী তৰুণ গগৈ ডাঙৰীয়া অকাল বিয়োগে আজি সমগ্ৰ ৰাজ্যখনৰ জনতাক মনত আজি বেদনা দিছে, বেজাৰ দিছে। আমি সকলোৱে মৰ্মাহত হৈছোঁ। এগৰাকী মহান নেতা আমি ৰাজ্যবাসীয়ে হেৰুৱালোঁ। তেখেতৰ গোটেই জীৱন তেখেতে দেশৰ জনগণৰ স্বাৰ্থত সততা নিষ্ঠাৰে কাম কৰি গ'ল, এটা শক্তিশালী মূল্যবোধৰ আদৰ্শ প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰি গ'ল। আৰু মই ব্যক্তিগতভাৱে এগৰাকী পিতৃক হেৰুৱাৰ দৰে অৱস্থা হৈছে, কাৰণ তেখেতে প্ৰতিটো মুহূৰ্ততে আমাক দেশৰ স্বাৰ্থত নিষ্ঠাৰে কাম কৰাৰ নিমিত্তে পৰামৰ্শ দিছিল, আন্তৰিকতাৰে দিছিল, অত্যন্ত আন্তৰিকতাৰে দিছিল। আৰু পিতৃয়ে যেনেধৰণে পুত্ৰক আদেশ দিয়ে মৰমত, সেই তেখেতে তেনেধৰণে আদেশো আমাক দিছিল মাজে সময়ে। গতিকে সেইখিনি মৰম চেনেহৰ পৰা আমি বঞ্চিত হ'লোঁ। আজি ঈশ্বৰৰ ইচ্ছাত তেখেতে আমাক এৰি গুচি গ'ল, কিন্তু তেখেতৰ আত্মাই চিৰশান্তি লাভ কৰক, তাৰ বাবে মই ঈশ্বৰৰ ওচৰত প্ৰাৰ্থনা জনাইছোঁ। শোকসন্তপ্ত পৰিয়ালৰ সকলো সদস্যক মই গভীৰ সমবেদনা জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ। আমি ৰাজ্য চৰকাৰৰ তৰফৰ পৰা আজিৰ পৰা 3 দিন ধৰি ৰাজ্যিক শোক আমি পালন কৰিম। আৰু ইতিমধ্যে আপোনালোকে দেখিছে মাননীয় প্ৰধানমন্ত্ৰী ডাঙৰীয়াও তেখেতৰ মৃত্যুত গভীৰ শোক প্ৰকাশ কৰিছে। আৰু আমি তেখেতৰ অন্ত্যেষ্টিক্ৰিয়াৰ সময়তো উপস্থিত থাকিম। আজি এই মুহূৰ্তত মই পুনৰবাৰ অত্যন্ত ভক্তিভাৱেৰে শ্ৰদ্ধা সহকাৰে গগৈ ডাঙৰীয়ালৈ মোৰ গভীৰ শ্ৰদ্ধাঞ্জলি আৰু প্ৰণাম জনাইছোঁ।
বহু স্মৃতি জড়িত হৈ আছে। 2016 চনত যেতিয়া আপুনি শপত গ্ৰহণ কৰিছিলে, সন্মুখৰ চিটত বহি হাত পাৰি বজাই আপোনাক উৎসাহিত কৰা মানুহজনে আছিল তেওঁ বিৰুদ্ধে।
হয়, মই শপত লোৱাৰ প্ৰাক মুহূৰ্তত তেখেতৰ ঘৰলৈ গৈছিলোঁ। মই কৈছিলোঁ যে গগৈদা আপুনি আশীৰ্বাদ দিয়ক, আপুনি গাইড কৰিব লাগিব। আমাৰ ৰাজ্য পৰিচালনা কৰাৰ অভিজ্ঞতা নাই, কিন্তু আপুনি সকলো সময়তে অভিভাৱকৰ দৰে দিহা পৰামৰ্শ দিব লাগিব গগৈ দাই তেতিয়া লগে লগে কৈছিল তুমি চিন্তাই নকৰিবা কিন্তু তুমি ৰাজ্যখনৰ বৰাক ব্ৰহ্মপুত্ৰ পাহাৰ ভৈয়ামৰ ৰাইজক আন্তৰিকতাৰে নিষ্ঠাৰে সেৱা আগবঢ়াই যোৱা সকলো সময়তে আমি তোমাৰ লগত থাকিম তেনেধৰণে মৰম যাচিছিল আন্তৰিকতাৰে তেখেতে আমাক উৎসাহিত কৰিছিল মই কিছুদিনৰ আগতে তেখেতক দেখা কৰিবলৈ আহিছিলোঁ আৰু সেই সময়ত তেখেতে মোক হাঁহি হাঁহি ধন্যবাদ দিছিল কৈছিল যে মই ভালে আছোঁ তুমি চিন্তা নকৰিবা আৰু তোমালোকে যিবিলাক মোক যেনেধৰণে যত্ন লৈছা মই খুব ভাল পাইছোঁ তোমালোকৰ আশীৰ্বাদ দিছোঁ এইখিনি কথাও কৈছে
All right, that was Chief Minister Sarbananda Sonowal making a very emotional speech. Rather, he said it was like losing a father. He was feeling like losing a father figure today. And he said that the state has been devastated by his loss. He led a very, very successful life. He set a lot of ideals for people to follow, and that he was a visionary and who taught him personally many things in life. That's what Mr. Sarbananda Sonowal has said. What is very, very significant is that usually it is extremely rare to find the entire political class, the entire people coming together in expressing their sadness, their grief, their condolences, and expressing concern for a leader of the opposition like Mr. Tarun Gogoi. So that explains as to how he was endeared by people across the board. In fact, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, right from the day Mr. Tarun Gogoi was tested positive for COVID and admitted to the Guwahati Medical College, that was on the 25th of August this year. In fact, that from that time onwards till now, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma has said that he has made more than 50 visits to the Guwahati Medical College to take stock, to personally supervise the treatment being given to Mr. Tarun Gogoi. So, and we have seen how the Chief Minister, Mr. Sarbananda Sonowal, has reacted today with such emotion. He has reacted, said that it is okay. So this shows that he love and respect that Tarun Gogoi commanded. We have the tweet from Rahul Gandhi, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi. Let's take a look at what Rahul Gandhi had to say. Okay, Rahul Gandhi's tweet: Sri Tarun Gogoi was a true Congress leader. He devoted his life to bring all the people and communities in Assam together. For me, he was a great and wise teacher. I loved and respected him deeply. That was what Rahul Gandhi had to say on Tarun Gogoi. Tarun Gogoi was a true Congress leader. He devoted his life to bringing all the people and communities of Assam together. For me, he was a great and wise teacher. I loved and respected him deeply. I will miss him. My love and condolences to Gaurav and the family. That is what Rahul Gandhi has tweeted a short while ago. Okay, what we were talking basically that, Tarun Gogoi, a colossal figure in the Northeast's political firmament, is no more. He breathed his last at 5:34 this evening at the intensive care unit of the Guwahati Medical College and Hospital. His body will now be taken to his official residence at the Minister's Colony in Dispur. Thereafter, tomorrow morning, the body would be placed at the Sankardev Kalakshetra. That is where the people of Assam will be able to take a last glimpse of him and pay their last respects. And of course, it's not very clear as to where the cremation is going to take place. We are getting reports that the family that the family has more or less decided to sort of have the cremation in Guwahati itself. We'll get a confirmation shortly. We'll ask our desk to keep track of that. Okay, we have well-known commentator and Guwahati University professor, Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, live with us. Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, your thoughts on the passing away of Mr. Tarun Gogoi?
It is a great loss to the state because he has been one of the very wisest and mature politicians that our generation has seen. For me, he had been the most seasoned politician in the post-Sharad Sinha era. And in my eyes, he has a lot of contributions to the politics of the state. One that in our generation has seen how a chief minister can build up a team of trusted colleagues. And probably he was the politician of our time who could bring in young bloods to the whole council of ministers. And that contributed towards reviving the economy and bringing in political stability, peace and harmony to the state, which was almost breaking down by 1990s. He was also a symbol of communal harmony in the state, and he took very important initiatives towards, facilitating dialogues with various insurgent organizations, and that also contributed towards bringing back peace and harmony to the state. But for me, most important contribution of Tarun Gogoi is his capacity to give space to the media, to give space to the intellectual criticisms against his government.
Okay, Ranjan Datta, hold on. We have got these are live visuals coming from Titabar, that is the home constituency of Tarun Gogoi. That is the assembly constituency that Tarun Gogoi has been representing. These are live visuals. We also have a tweet from Union Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah. He has also condoled Tarun Gogoi's demise. He said that anguish to learn about the passing away of veteran leader and former Chief Minister of Assam, Sri Tarun Gogoi ji. That is what he has said. May Almighty give his family the strength to bear this tragic loss. My condolences with his family and followers. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. That is what Amit Shah, the Union Home Minister, has tweeted a short while ago. We'll go back to those live visuals from Titabar. Yes, Akhil Ranjan Datta, what were some of the qualities? We'll stay with the visuals and listen to Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta. What were the qualities, what were his successes and failures according to you in those 15 years as Chief Minister?
So, as I mentioned, one of the most important qualities he had his flexibility. He was very accommodative in nature, and his tolerance to the critics. We have seen that there were a lot of criticisms against him. Of course, there were confrontation with the agitators to maintain law and order. But he was very, very clear, very careful in dealing with his opponents, in dealing with his critics. As we listen to a lot of opposition leaders today, that has come to the light that even if there were political differences, but at the personal level, he was very, very accommodative in nature, very, very tolerant towards his opponents. And myself, being a critic of the government, I have been so critical about some of the policies of Tarun Gogoi's government. But whenever we met, he was so cordial to us, and he was listening to us. And if you look at his capacity of institution building, I have been teaching in the university for the last 20 years, and I could see that he never interfered in the functioning of the universities. And if you look at, for example, 2014 Assam Human Development Report, which has been very, very comprehensive report, he knew it very well that there were a lot of criticisms in the report, but he didn't interfere. And that helps us to bring in one of the very comprehensive human development reports in the state. Yes.
Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, thank you very much for speaking to Northeast Live in this hour. We'll also try to go to Mr. Kirip Chalia, former Congress MP. We'll try to go to several other leaders from the Northeastern region. We'll try to go and speak to several leaders in the Northeastern region and see what they have to say on the demise of Mr. Tarun Gogoi. So the big news at this hour, Assam has lost former Chief Minister Tarun Gogoi, 3-time Chief Minister from 2001 to 2016. He passed away today at 5:34 in the evening at the intensive care unit of the Guwahati Medical College and Hospital. He was tested positive for COVID. And he was admitted to the GMCH on the 25th of August, after which, of course, he recovered from COVID, and in the month of October later he was released, and after a few days of staying at home his condition once again deteriorated and he was admitted to the intensive care unit of the Guwahati Medical College Hospital on the 1st of November. And in fact, you know, one of the other qualities which Tarun Gogoi had was that he was extremely media savvy. In fact, he was a darling of the media, and he would always hold a press conference almost every week, and his chosen time was 12:30 in the afternoon, 12:30 in the afternoon. That is when he used to hold a press conference. So that was extremely significant. We also have a tweet from Mr. Conrad Sangma, the Chief Minister of Meghalaya. Let's take a look at what Conrad Sangma had to say. Let's look at the tweet by Conrad Sangma. Okay, pain to learn about former Assam Chief Minister Sri Tarun Gogoi's passing. He was a tall leader, respected across party lines and adored for his immeasurable contributions towards the cause of Assam and the Northeast. His demise will create a huge vacuum in the political arena of the Northeast. So, we are having live pictures from Titabar. Let's take a look. Titabar, as everybody knows, is the constituency that Tarun Gogoi represented in the Assam Assembly. That is where, these are pictures where people are actually engaged in some kind of prayers following the demise of Tarun Gogoi. They are paying their last tribute, they're paying their tributes to Tarun Gogoi in their own way. They're lighting incense there. All right, we will go for a break. The primetime news is coming up at 7 o'clock. I will continue to stay on. But the big story, let's take a wrap of the biggest story at this hour. Three-time Assam Chief Minister, Congress stalwart Tarun Gogoi passes away at 5:34 this evening at the intensive care unit of the Guwahati Medical College. He was 86. Breaking the news, Assam Health Minister Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma said all efforts were made to bring the veteran leader back to health, but the veteran leader succumbed finally. So Gogoi was admitted to the ICU of GMCH at 10:30 p.m. to be precise on the 1st of November after he had complained of breathing problems. While his condition was more or less stable initially, things took a turn for the worse on Saturday afternoon, following which he has been put under mechanical ventilation. Gogoi was put under dialysis on Sunday, even as doctors from GMCH were in constant touch with a team from the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi. Gogoi had to be put on complete life support hours later on Monday after his organs stopped functioning. Tarun Gogoi was tested positive for COVID and admitted to GMCH on the 25th of August. He was released on October 25th after 2 months after having tested negative, of course, and later, of course, his condition deteriorated and he was admitted to the GMCH on the 1st of November. So that is the timeline. That is what has happened. A tall leader, Tarun Gogoi, is no more. That we had already played reactions coming from across the Northeast and outside.